It changed instantly into a red lacquered box plated in gold. After he placed the white jade token inside the box, he said, "Master, in the morning, you should hold this thing in your hands and put on your brocade cassock. Then go sit in the main hall and recite some sutras. Let me go first to the city to have a look. If there is indeed a fiend, I'll slay him so that we can achieve some merit at this place. But if there is no fiend, we ought not to incur calamity on ourselves." "Exactly. Exactly," said Tripitaka. Pilgrim said, "If the prince doesn't leave the city, then there may not be much that I can do. But if he indeed comes out of the city in accordance with your dream, I will certainly bring him here to see you." "What shall I say to him when I see him?" asked Tripitaka. Pilgrim replied, "When he arrives, let me first come in and announce him. You can then pull the cover of the box open slightly, and I shall change into a tiny monk about 2 inches tall so that I, too, can be placed inside the box. You can hold the whole thing in your hands. When the prince enters the monastery, he will most certainly want to pay homage to Buddha. Let him bow all he wants, but don't you pay him any attention. When he sees that you do not even rise before him, he will surely order you seized. Let him do that, in fact, let him beat you, tie you up, or execute you." "Hey," said Tripitaka. "He's capable of issuing a high military order. If he truly wants to have me executed, what shall I do?" "No fear, for I'm around," said Pilgrim. "When you get to the crucial moment, I'll be there to protect you. If he asks who you are, you can identify yourself as a monk sent by imperial decree from the land of the East to present treasures to Buddha, and to acquire scriptures from him in the Western heaven. If he asks what sort of treasure you have, you can tell him about the brocade cassock of yours. Say to him, however, that it is only a third-class treasure, and that you have in your possession good things that belong to the first and second classes. When he asks you some more, you can then tell him that there is a treasure in this box, which has knowledge of the past 500 years, the present 500 years, and the future 500 years. All in all, this treasure has complete knowledge of the events of past and future for a period of 1,500 years. Let old monkey come out then, and I shall tell the prince what you heard in your dream. If he believes me, I'll go catch the demon, so that his father king may be avenged and our reputation may be established at this place. If he doesn't believe me, we can then show him the white jade token. I fear that he might be a bit young even to recognize the token." When Tripitaka heard these words, he was very pleased, saying, "O disciple, this is a most marvelous plan. But talk about these treasures. One will be called brocade cassock and the other white jade token. What shall be the name of that treasure you will change into?" "Let's call him King Making Thing," said Pilgrim. Tripitaka agreed and kept these words in his heart. That whole night master and disciples did not, of course, have any sleep. Impatiently waiting for the dawn, they wished they could, by nodding their heads, call forth the eastern sun, and with one breath disperse all heaven's stars. In a little while, the eastern sky paled with light. Pilgrim thereupon gave the following instruction to 8 rules and Sha monk. "Don't disturb the monks, so that they won't be milling about in the monastery. When I have accomplished what I must do, then we'll journey again." He took leave of them and somersaulted at once into the air. Opening wide his fiery eyes to look toward the west, he discovered that there was indeed a city. How could he see it so readily, you ask? The fact of the matter was that the city, as we told you before, was only 40 miles away. So, the moment Pilgrim rose into the air, he saw it immediately. As Pilgrim drew near the city and stared at it carefully, he saw that it was shrouded by unending layers of eerie mists and battered by constant gusts of demonic wind. Sighing to himself in the air, Pilgrim said, "If a true king ascends his precious throne, auspicious light and clouds will this place enfold. Since a fiend has usurped the dragon seat, rising black mist seals up the doors of gold." He was thus speaking to himself when he heard the loud booms of cannons. As the eastern gate swung open, A troop of men and horses appeared, indeed a hunting corps, most fearsome in appearance. You see them leaving the capital at dawn. They go to hunt on the meadow. Bright banners unfurl in the sun. White stallions race against the wind. The lizard skin drums roll and roll, as tasseled lances strike in pairs. The falconers are ferocious, and whippers in both mean and strong. Fire cannons rattle the heavens, and birdlime poles glow in the sun. Each one props up his arrows. Every man wears his carved bows, spreading their nets beneath the slope. They pull taut the ropes in the paths, at one crack like a thunderclap. 1,000 steeds charge leopards and bears. Tricky hares cannot save their lives. Wily deer are at their wits' end. Foxes are fated to expire. Antelopes perish in the midst, if pheasants can't fly to escape. Could wild fowls find refuge from harm? All of them ransack the mountain range to capture wild beasts, and cut down the forest to shoot at flying things. After those people had come out of the city, they spread out in the countryside toward the east, and in a little while they reached the rice fields on the highland some 20 miles away. In the midst of the troops there was a young warrior who wore a helmet and a cuirass, a cummerbund too, of 18 layers. His hands held a treasure sword of blue steel, and he rode a brown warhorse. A fully strung bow also hung from his waist. Truly, he seemed faintly like a king, a ruler with noble looks. His features were not uncouth. Like a true dragon he moved. Secretly pleased in the air, Pilgrim said to himself, "That one has to be the crown prince. Let me tease him a little. Dear great sage." He lowered his cloud and darted straight into the army of the prince. Shaking his body once, he changed instantly into a little white rabbit, scampering about before the prince's horse. When the prince saw it, he could not have been more delighted. Pulling out an arrow, he stretched his bow to the fullest and shot the rabbit squarely with it. The great sage, of course, had made it possible for the prince to hit him. Being quick of hand and eye, he actually had caught the arrow. After dropping some of the arrow's feathers on the ground, he turned and sped away. When the prince saw the arrow had found its mark on the rabbit, he urged his horse on to give chase all by himself. He did not realize that he was being led away deliberately. When the horse galloped, Pilgrim ran like the wind, but when the horse slowed down, Pilgrim also took up a more leisurely pace just to stay slightly ahead of him. Mile after mile, it went on like this, until the prince was lured right up to the gate of the Precious Grove Monastery. Changing back into his true form, the rabbit thus disappeared, and only the hawk-feathered arrow was stuck on the doorpost. Pilgrim raced inside yelling to the Tang monk, "Master, he's here, he's here." He changed again, this time into a tiny monk about 2 inches tall, and crawled at once into the red box. We now tell you about the prince, who chased his prey right up to the monastery gate. He could not find the white rabbit, but he saw an eagle-plumed arrow stuck on the doorpost. Greatly startled and turning pale, the prince said, "Strange, strange. I clearly shot the white rabbit with my arrow. How could the rabbit disappear, and only the arrow be seen here? It must be that after years and months, the rabbit has turned into a spirit." He pulled out the arrow and raised his head to look. There on top of the gate of the monastery were written 7 words in large characters. "Precious Grove Monastery built by imperial command." "Now I know," said the prince. "Years ago my father king, I recall, did send some officials from the Hall of Golden Chimes to take some gold here so that the monks could redecorate the images and the halls. I didn't expect that I would be here today. Truly. There, in a bamboo-shaded walk, with a good monk I fell to talk. So in this tedious mortal round, one afternoon of peace I found. Let me go inside for a walk." Leaping down from the horse, the prince was about to enter the monastery, when those 3,000 men and horses who were accompanying him also arrived. As they crowded into the monastery, The resident monks hurriedly came kowtowing to receive them into the main hall so that they could pay homage to the images of Buddha. Afterwards, they raised their eyes to look about, intending to tour the corridors and enjoy the scenery, when they suddenly discovered that there was a monk sitting right in the middle of the hall. Becoming enraged at once, the prince said, "This monk is terribly rude. Half a throne of this dynasty has entered this monastery. Though I have issued no decree for this visit, so that he has been spared from meeting us at a great distance, he should now at least get up when soldiers and horses are at the door. How dare he sit there unmoved? Seize him," he said. "Seize." And the guards on both sides immediately attempted to catch hold of the Tang monk so that they could bind him with ropes. Sitting in the box, Pilgrim recited in silence a spell, saying, "You various guardians of the faith, the 6 gods of darkness, and the 6 gods of light, I am drawing up a plan to subdue a fiend. This prince, ignorant of the matter, is about to have my master bound with ropes. All of you must protect him. If he's really bound, you all will be found guilty." When the great sage gave such an order in secret, who would dare disobey him? The deities indeed gave protection to Tripitaka in such a way that those people could not even touch his bald head.